had not been for the Lord, if it had not been for the Lord on our side, where would we be? They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up on wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. I've been young and am now older, but I have never seen the righteous forsaken, or his seed begging for bread. I will lift up mine eyes to the hills, whence cometh my help cometh from the Lord. When I think of the goodness of Jesus, and all he keeps on doing for me, my soul cries out, hallelujah. I thank the Lord for saving me. First, thanking God for this opportunity. Dr. Jamie taught me about protocols, so I'm going to try to do it. Bishop Harry Seawright, Bishop Ronnie Brailsford, to Supervisor Sarita Moon Seawright, Dr. Patricia Russell McLeod, Supervisor Carolyn Brailsford, to General Officer Dr. Jerome Harris, to Sister Sandra Harris, to retired General Officer Dr. Jamie Coleman Williams, to Attorney Heish, to immediate past President Missionary Magazine Rosa Baxter, to the 5th Episcopal District YPD Director Rochelle Fry Skinner, who is my sister, so I'm glad she's here, to presiding Elder Denson, to our marvelous pastor Agnes Marie Lover, one of my former students. I told my sister I've been teaching a long time because I can go anywhere in the United States or the world and my students are sitting around, and I'm so proud. I usually tell them in class, unless you're going to follow directions, don't tell anybody you took my class, so I'm glad that she followed directions. I thank her. To this choir, the officers, members, and friends, to my sorors from Delta Sigma Theta who thought it not robbery to be present today in support, I thank you. Today marks the confluence of several liturgical and celebratory events. This first Sunday in December is also Communion Sunday. This first Sunday in Advent, where we think about hope, the trust, the belief, the faith, the expectation of a change. This inaugural weekend of the Rosa Parks Day, a woman who said, I wasn't tired of standing, I was tired of giving in. Honoring her faith and legacy. I know that you spent much time yesterday on her activism, and today the Lord said for me to honor her faith. Reading over famous quotes from Mrs. Parks, this one claimed my attention. I quote, I learned to put my trust in God and to see him as my strength. Long ago, I set my mind to be a free person and not give in to fear. I always felt that it was my right to defend myself if I could. I've learned over the years that when one's mind is made up, this diminishes fear, knowing that what must be done does away with fear, end quote. So this led me in my contemplation to a familiar for many of us text, Psalm 27. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? When the wicked, even my enemies and my foes, came upon me to eat up my flesh, they stumbled and fell. Though a host should encamp against me, my heart shall not fear. The Lord should rise against me. In this will I be confident. One thing have I desired of the Lord, that I will seek after, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of the Lord, and to inquire in his temple. For in the time of trouble, he shall hide me in his pavilion. In the secret of his tabernacle shall he hide me. He shall set me up on a rock. And now shall my head be lifted up above my enemies round about me. Therefore will I offer in his tabernacle sacrifices of joy. I will sing, yea, I will sing praises unto the Lord. Hear, O Lord, when I cry with my voice. Have mercy also upon me and answer me. When thou sayest, seek ye my face, my heart said unto thee, thy face, Lord, will I seek. Hide not your face from me. Put not thy servant away in anger. Thou hast been my help. Leave me not, neither forsake me, O God of my salvation. When my father and my mother forsake me, then the Lord will take me up. Teach me thy way, O Lord, and lead me in a plain path because of mine enemies. Deliver me not over to the will of my enemies, for false witnesses are risen up against me, and such breathe out cruelly. I had fainted. I would have fell out. I had fainted unless I believed to see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Wait on the Lord. Be of good courage, and he shall strengthen thy heart. Wait, I say, on the Lord. The topic for our time together is whole life assurance. Whole life assurance. You may have seen nonstop the multimedia commercials and received ads in your email on that right-hand side, because you looked at something, they kind of track you. Received unsolicited calls, you think it's somebody that you lost their number and somebody's asking you about something in your physical mailbox from your mortgage company or your credit union or the bank, attempting to convince you to purchase $10,000 more life insurance with no physical examinations required. Currently, there are 71 insurance providers, Northwestern Mutual, Mutual of Omaha. He begins, the Lord is my light. Yahweh is my light. Yahweh is my prosperity, my instruction. There is no darkness, there is no evil. It is my salvation. Yeshua, it's my welfare, it's my victory. The Redeemer has taken me from certain death. And then he asked the question that many of us should be saying now when we act cowardly when we watch the news. Whom shall I fear? Whom shall I fear? God deliver me. My grandmother used to say, God don't want and he don't need no cowardly soldiers. But I declare we filling up churches on Sunday morning because we watched the news before we came inside. Fear is the apprehension that evil is going to run your life. It means that there's an authority that you don't know anything about. But from childhood, David wasn't afraid of anything or anybody. But he feared God. He said, I have confidence. I don't want to let anybody use me as a doormat. I don't need to take abuse or oppression. I am a child of God. I'm an heir to the kingdom. Nobody is big and bad enough to do anything to me because God got me coming and going. The Lord is the stronghold. The refuge of my life. The Mawazeh. It means God provides a place of safety and protection and harbor and strength. God is my armor when I engage evil. God is my weapon to fend off those that think that they're going to kill me. It means that I don't have to be afraid of anything. God is sovereign. God is awesome. Our brains are not convoluted enough to know what God can do. God is not subject to human laws. God is not subject to the resident of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. God is not in favor. God is not dollars and cents. You cannot give God a charge card to pay God off. God is sovereign, the refuge of my life.
Thank you, Lord.
And verse 2 says when. It doesn't say if. When Negroes, when people show up and mess with you. It doesn't say if they show up, they're going to show up. I don't care if you're the first one in the parking lot on Sunday morning, folks are going to show up, and most of them rode up in the parking lot with you. But when evildoers assail me and try to come and devour my flesh, he uses the imagery of a vicious animal. The ones that like to scratch you just to see if you're going to bleed. The one that hold parties when they see some kind of blood dripping from you. The ones that say it's going to be all right in one thing and text about who you are with the next thing. When people come, My adversaries and my foes and tried to eat me. Their mouths full of malicious murmuring and salivary glands of salacious slander and gums of grievous gossip and lips of lubricious lies and tongues of teeming treachery and teeth of tenacious tearing and taste buds of tempting temptation. Because of God's grace, they're going to stumble and fall. Because God will make them sit down and shut up. God will remove them away from us so we can walk on and do what God says. Now, God got to leave one or two because some of us will begin to think we are God if ain't nobody bothering us. You know. We think we float above the water. Though an army encamps against me.
Come on now.
One thing I've learned in my 67 years is most people can't come at you by themselves. They got to organize a crowd to come at you.
Amen.
They got to get a group together. They can't stand it by themselves. They usually put the weakest one in the group to come at you. And they think you humble and not going to say something, but I got something for you, baby. Let me tell you. I'm going back to the text. When an army encamps against me, internal and external voices murmuring about our decisions, saying it don't take all of that to live, saying I remember when I messed up so I can't do anything about it. I'm so sick, but I'm sick because I made God mad. My heart shall not fear, it says, though I'm achy and sweaty and my knees are knocking and my stomach is upset. I think that's how Sister Rosa felt on that bus. And when it looks like all hell is breaking loose around us, God will give us protection even in the midst of a storm. When you're under pressure, that's when your faith comes forward. When you show your true colors is when somebody's pushing against you. Most of us do fine on Sunday morning because we look like we're going to shout. But baby, on Monday morning, some of us are so cowardly it's not even funny. But God is with you on Monday like God is with you on Sunday morning in church. Then he says, one thing I ask. Most of us come with a list. We got it notes in our phone. We got a list of stuff we're going to come ask God for. And God said, we didn't do anything with the last thing you asked me for, but anyway, you come with a list. Not a laundry list, not begging for cars and houses and play. I always wonder why people pray about increase their finances. If you don't have health, your finances are not going to do you any good. That's why the mothers and fathers said, I'm clothed with a reasonable portion of my health and strength and in my right mind. Because they understood if your stuff ain't together, you could be a millionaire and just be as loony as can be. And ain't nobody around you.
Amen.
One thing have I asked for the Lord. One thing I'm going to seek after. Have we sung a new song in the midst of our troubles, or we just sit and complain? Do we love our neighbors and ourselves, not just on Sunday when we do that fake greeting kiss? With the same people every week like God didn't send somebody new to the church. Do we just greet the people who are behinds and made indentations because we've been sitting there most of our life, and then we move over so somebody else can get on the road? Are we help anybody, or are we selectively evil to people?
My Lord.
Are we waiting to see what we get in return? The psalmist says we seek a silence in the temple, our spiritual safe house, where there's no place for fights and disagreements and plots and blocking. And I'm amazed at sometimes that all the hell that breaks loose in a church. Because we forgot what a sanctuary meant. David sought safety in God's house. I'm really going to preach in a minute. I got carried away. If you ever wanted to be at service so bad you couldn't wait for Sunday, just wanted to be in a house of Lord, that you were weeping and shaking because you couldn't get there fast enough. We have come at a time in this country where people will drag in a half an hour late, but it says you have to not forsake the assembly in the house of the Lord. Just anticipation. Lord, I'll get back to you later on. I'll get back to you when I really need something, Lord. But every day should be a day that we enter into our own house of the Lord. It doesn't have to be right here, but every day you should open your eyes and say, thank you, God, for one more day. Every day you should just be rejoicing. Every day you should seek the sanctuary and the refuge of God. says that when I'm in trouble, he's going to hide me.
Jesus.
He'll conceal me in the covering of his tent.
Yes.
With all the stuff we get through in the world, isn't it nice to have a God that can cover us in a tent so that no weapon formed against us will prosper, that no fire can burn us, that no water can drown us, that God hides us in the feathers under the wings, so that all the people that thought they got us got to get back, because God said, this is my child and you cannot harm them. And because of God, the psalmist says, my head is lifted up above my enemies, round about him. I will praise God. Nobody has to tell me when to praise God. Nobody has to tell me to say amen. Nobody has to cajole me into being thankful. Nobody has to say who's going to come and bring the money first. We've beaten up people trying to get down there to sit down and praise God ourselves. Don't have to wait for the preacher. Don't have to wait for anybody. Don't have to look down your nose at nobody. You just do what you do because nobody knows your story but you. I don't know why we got to a place that we worry about what people think next to us. They can't do nothing for you but die. Who cares what you look like when you worship it? That's you and God stuff. Nobody can walk in your pumps but you. Nobody can put on those nice little shoes but you. Nobody knows your story. There's stuff that you went through only God knows. Your mama don't even know about it. And you should be able to praise God anytime you're in God's presence. He says, I'll confess the name of God. I won't neglect to do good to God's family. He says that in praise and loud instruments playing, we're going to dance. And I don't mean everybody's got to be always doing this. Because my grandmother could sit and just let one tear roll down her face and she was praising God for all she was worth. We got to stop rating people's prayers and rating people's praise and rating people's dance and rating people's... We got to stop that stuff because only God gives them what they're supposed to be doing. No scripted bulletin. We got to stop trying to coordinate everything. We got to stop trying to see who's in the big chair. We got to stop saying, give me more bass. If you needed bass, God would have gave you bass in the first place. No well-rehearsed worship. God moves when we praise God. God blesses us when we praise God. God blesses us when we do what God tells us to do, and you don't have to be embarrassed. So I'll sing and make melody. And then he backs off a little bit and he says, hear me, God, when I cry aloud. I'm calling out to you, God, at the top of my lungs. I'm not who I'm supposed to be, but because you are God, I'm going to get there eventually. I'm in pain sometimes, God, but you know the source of the pain. Sometimes I think you're not hearing from me, God. I don't know where you are, but God never leaves us nor forsakes us. Sometimes it gets rough and it seems like God is absent, but God never is. Can you see Miss Park sitting there?
All right.
Understanding who God was.
Yes, Lord.
Understanding the God that had been with her for 42 years. On the same bus of a man that drove past her a year earlier. In a situation where people like her were invisible and insignificant and victimized and choiceless and castigated and demeaned and disposable and signified and thingified and thrown away and non-human. She said, quote, people always say that I'd give up my seat because I was tired, but that isn't true. No, the only thing I was tired of was giving in. Too many of us are too afraid, suffering from all kinds of fatigue and giving in, exhausted from clustered towering and gating coveting, property gentrifying and assault excusing and melanin privileging, brain fog from immigrant obstructing and racialized hiring and cultural appropriating and gender evaluating and selective policing, dull from quota admitting, bigotry accepting, color erasing, history biasing and child trafficking, faint from religion demonizing, polls trolling, life executing, liturgy colonizing, affluenza sentencing and undocumented persecuting, listless from healthcare withdrawing and elder warehousing and media shaming and race dividing and cyberbullying and child killing, drained from love commodifying and war funding and lifestyle debasing and love critiquing and political pandering, fatigue from truth fabricating and global stereotyping and linguistic lynching and human euthanizing and resource hoarding and my achievements are better than somebody else's. death rising, worn out and afraid. And David said, when I think God is gone, he says, come seek God's face. Can't talk to God anytime. God is always listening. Don't wait for the preacher to pray for you. Pray yourself. Don't wait for your choir to sing. Sing your own song. It can be off-key. God still hears the intention. Don't worry about somebody else saying something about you. Just seek God's face. If we use as much energy to seek God's face as we do to somebody else's attention, I declare we will be all right. And then he gives imperatives to God. Please don't ever leave me, God. I know sometimes I act like a spoiled child. I forget to say thank you. Sometimes I act like I don't appreciate what you did. I begged you for something last week and it's still sitting over in the box. I was driving to church and saw somebody in the car and I asked you for a car, God, but I didn't think about asking you for the payment. Others may cast you off and discard you, God, but you've always been there for me, God. If my mother and father, the greatest thing is abandonment from your parents. My mother and father turn away from you. Family and friends and loved ones walk out. Lord, take me up. Teach me your way, God. Let me pass life one-on-one. That means that when we get to be adults, we got to continue to go to Sunday school. Some of us have been to Sunday school since we were 5. Some of us haven't opened the Bible since we got it on our phone. Some of us don't spend enough time with God. You got to spend some time with God down in the deep places so you understand who God is. You can't take the preacher's word because she's trying to get to heaven also. You got to go to God by yourself. You got to study for yourself. It says, teach me your ways, God. Don't give me over to my adversaries. But here's the crux of whole life assurance. I believe. I believe. I believe that I will see the goodness of the Lord. That's covenantal language. I believe I will see the goodness, I will experience for myself the goodness of the Lord. I don't have to bite on what something else God has done. I don't have to come to testimony service and give the same testimony I've given for 15 years. I don't have to try to compare what God has given me to somebody else. I don't have to look at everybody around me and say, why God blessing them? I gave more money to church this week than they did. Why God blessing them? They haven't been to church in a month of Sundays. Well, I believe that individually, because of my relationship with God, I will see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. I know we talk about it after a while and blah, blah, but I serve a right now God. So I believe God can bless me right now. I don't have to die and go to heaven to experience God's goodness. I can see it right now. God is blessing me right now. The Lord is blessing me right now. He woke me up this morning and he started me on my way. The Lord is blessing me right now. Mrs. Park says, as a child, I learned from the Bible to trust God and not be afraid. I felt the Lord would give me the strength to endure whatever I had to face, and God took away all my fear. Can you see her? Sunday school teachers, stewardess, and deaconess, understand that God had already done things for other people, and God would do things for her. That no matter where she was, God already knew her. God had delivered so many before her. God had delivered Eve from spoiled produce, and Hagar from desert death, and Sarah from hiding a relationship, and Leah from social insults about her appearance. God had delivered Shiphrah and Puah from political pressure to kill all the baby boys, and Miriam from leprosy. God had delivered Rahab from prostituting herself to support her entire family, and Deborah from a roadside courthouse, and Vashti from marital exhibitionism, and Abigail from a treacherous father. God had delivered Ruth from survivor's grief, and Naomi from bitterness. God had delivered Hannah from childlessness, and the widow of Zarephath from starvation. Hadn't God delivered Esther from avoiding responsibility, and Elizabeth from menopause, and Mary, the mother of Jesus, from public disgrace, and the bride of Cana from a wedding disaster? Hadn't God taken the centurion's daughter at 12 years old and gave her back her lost childhood, and Martha from throwing shade, and Sister Mary from searching for a school that would admit women, and the woman with the issue of blood from poor health care? Hadn't God taken the woman bent over and given her orthopedic surgery, and the woman of the well delivered from toxic relationships, and Mary Magdalene from being called out of her name, and wrote for him things were knocked in the night, and Tabitha from sleeping eternally, and Lydia from having fabric down by the riverside? Wasn't God also then going to deliver somebody named Rosa, Louise, McCallie Parks. Won't God deliver you like God has delivered everybody else that has been before you? If you just know who to look to, I declare deliverance is on the way. Sometimes I miss parts. We got to risk pain and ridicule and humiliation and rejection and friends and comfort so that barriers can be broken down. So that dehumanization becomes affirmation. So deathly situations become life-affirming events. The good news is God always answers those that look unto God. Those that know God is the source and strength of our life. In this life, you have to praise God despite present circumstances. You have to be able to say, I know that I can look at tomorrow. I know who's in charge of tomorrow. I know that my Redeemer lives. I can look into the darkness and still see the light. I'm strong enough to face any impending difficulty because God is. I find joy just waking up in the morning. I know the doctor's diagnosis is not the end of my case. I've experienced God living where everybody else said stuff was in. I am sure to see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. I will not give up. I will not accept what everybody else says about me because God made me and God never made a mistake. I have firm faith. I know the true and living God. He says, wait on the Lord. Regardless of your circumstance, wait on the Lord. Now that word wait can mean pause for the cause, but it also means serve. Serve the Lord. And God's going to make a way. Wait on the Lord. Take some time out. Put down the remote. Put down the telephone. Put down everything and just rest in God for a while. Turn off everything and just you and God just have a good one-on-one for a change. Let your heart take courage because God is fulfilling all of God's promises. God has never lied to you. God has never gone back on promises. God did not tell us one thing today and do something else tomorrow. God never fails. God is available to everybody that looks at God. Well, what do we say to all
My
this?
Lord. Jesus. Thank you, Lord.
It's time to step out of the shadows. Time to begin to walk in the light. Time to take the gags out of our mouths and stop letting other people tell us who we are and what we can look like. Time to step past social restrictions and time to stand up and try it again. Time to speak up even when people tell us to be quiet. Even if we have to eat some crumbs off of an earthly God's table, an earthly person's table, God is going to provide our increase. Even if God says go and you don't know where in the world you're going, Reverend Agnes. You got to get up and go anyway. You know what's going to meet you in there because God said go. You got to get your stuff up. And sometimes God said don't take nothing with you. Just step on out there on faith. I'm going to provide when you get there. You know, you go on a vacation and I take a luggage and buy something when we're there. God said, I got it already provided for you when you get there. So don't travel heavy. You got to travel light. You're going to travel with me. God says, I'm going to break all the chains and take all the covers off your eye. Believe that's God. That Mrs. Parks knew about. She had a whole life assurance plan. She had an endowment policy that said, I've come to give you life and give it more abundantly. I have high premiums. They're astronomical and only one person can pay the premiums on this assurance plan. That's the one that took one Trinitarian conversation about the state of the whole world, one historical journey through 42 generations, and one angelic announcement, one undercover assignment in the room of a 14-year-old virgin, one no vacancy sign on a local hotel, one manger and one night heaven and earth just could not shut up, one trip to Egypt to avoid certain death, and one 12-year-old trial sermon, the one that took 30 years of carpentry and reading and listening and developing and waiting, one that changed infected water into celebratory wine, one that took 30 miracles and 3 years of healing and teaching and preaching, one that took 3 recorded resurrections of believers and calmed one raging sea, one that had one dinner with 5,000 with 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread and wound the revival one day and turned around and had a catered meal for 4,000. The next day was 7 loaves of bread and some fish and a healing service out in the open, one that took 1 meeting of transfigured saints and 1 blessing of children, 1 parade toward destiny and 1 cursing of an unproductive fig tree, one that took 1 crying jag over Jerusalem and 1 clearing out of the temple, 1 $10 betrayer and 1 garden prayer meeting, 3 sleeping watchmen, 1 losing plea bargain with his God, 1 SWAT team arrest, 1 false charge, 3 kangaroo courts, 1 public hand washing, 1 parole of a convicted killer, 1 death row march up the Via Dolorosa, 1 public stripping, 39 lashes, 72 thorns, 1 cross, 3 nails, 1 pierced side, 1 galling drink, 6 execution hours, 1 broken heart, 1 world of sin, 1 suicidal betrayer, 10 friendly deserters, 1 casino at the foot of the cross, business on one side and justice on the other, 1 sacrifice for a whole world, 1 empty tomb, 1 evangelist, 1 one resurrection, one dispatch of a comfort, and one promise to return, so we can say my hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and righteousness. I dare not trust the sweetest frame, but wholly lean on Jesus' name. So we can sing like James Cleveland. The Lord is my light and my salvation. The Lord is my light and my salvation. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? In the time of trouble, he's going to hide me. In the time of trouble, he's going to hide me. In the time of trouble, he's going to hide me. Whom shall I fear? Wait on the Lord and be of good courage. Wait on the Lord and be of good courage. Wait on the Lord and be of good courage. Wait on the Lord and be of good courage. Wait on the Lord and be of good courage. Wait, I say, on the Lord. That's your whole life assured prayer. God bless you.
Standing all over the place. After hearing the word on this afternoon, there may be someone here saying, Lord, I don't know you today. Is that you today? Come at this time.